And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. So do me a favor, hit subscribe, watch, comment. I'll repeat it again and again and again. I want your comments. I appreciate them. They make the show better. And share with your friends, because the nonsense, it's not stopping today. It's not going to stop tomorrow. And it's certainly not going to stop for years to come. But we will talk about today, because today, the February job report was just released, and the unemployment rate rose from 4% to 4.1%. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but it is. And I want to break down what that actually means. You see, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he went on CNBC speaking about the report. And because it's not good, even though you're going to hear some pundits say, it's not as bad as we thought. It's only like, 20,000 people and 19,000 people shy of the expectation. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It can never be this administration's fault. God forbid. He has to blame it on, that's right, former President Biden and the former Biden administration. And he goes so far as to even create a new term. I love when they create new terms. What's that term? A detox period. My friends, according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, we are all now in a detox period. And it's this detox period that is going to cause us to feel short-term harm. Play the clip.
On working Americans, what is the American dream? But the Biden administration created this bad equilibrium where the top 10%, people in this room, probably most of the people watching this show, top 10% of Americans are 40 or 50% of consumption. And that is an unstable equilibrium. The bottom 50% of working Americans have gotten killed. We are trying to address that. We're trying to get rates down. And, could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. There's going to be a detox period.
I think that temporary pain that you've acknowledged, that the president has acknowledged, I think the question becomes, is temporary pain the new transitory inflation? How do you know that we get to the other side of this, and how long do you think it actually takes?
Well, look, there's an adjustment. We'll see whether there's pain. What we are trying to do, I talked about it at the Economic Club of New York yesterday. We are trying to transition from public to private.
Let me be very clear. Every single morning, this Trump administration, they send out talking points. It's a memorandum, a talking points memorandum on terms and positions so that everyone stays consistent with President Trump. Now, it's a wonderful thing. It really is. You keep batting and batting and batting everybody over the head with what it is that you want them to remember, and everybody has to say the same thing. It's all about the Biden administration. This is all a detox period, that there's going to be short-term pain. They all use the exact same words. Democrats should start to do the same thing. Take a lesson. Take a lesson from a playbook that's beating you. And how do I know that I'm right? Well, first of all, I used to be one of the recipients of those talking points, but all you need to do is watch for yourself. Let me show you some clips of, for example, even Maria Bartiromo, a journalist on television, on her show, speaking about the numbers in the exact same way, in the identical way, because she has now become a surrogate of this administration. Play the clip.
Rally, and you know what I say? This rally is about the Fed, okay? This is a Fed rally, Charles Payne. This is an expectation that the jobs picture is weakening, weaker than expected jobs again in the month of February, according to the Labor Department, tells you that the Fed is going to cut rates.
Yeah, and, you know, the street, as I was saying before we even came to this segment, moved up to 3, now maybe even more than that. And it's just, you know, Wall Street, listen, right now what we're going through is a tariff tantrum in Wall Street. But the ultimate tantrum is when they don't get their way with the Federal Reserve. And so this puts the Fed back into the ball game. It puts it back into the picture. Whatever.
Wrong. She also, of course, as I was saying before, has to follow suit, has to follow the memorandum, and tries to blame it on the Biden administration and former President Biden. Play the clip.
That's, by the way, that's why I said earlier it would be Biden's recession. And I know the haters out there will slam me later. The other day I said something and they went nuts on me on Twitter, on X. I said, well, how come I don't see any Dodge Rams or Dodge, you know, pickup trucks in Europe? And they went nuts on it. But it's true. I see all the Mercedes and the Audis and the whole 9 yards here in America, but I don't see any of the American-made cars there. That's it. That's the point I was making, Steve.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, when you see...
Unbelievable. You know, one of the biggest problems is you can't bring a Ford or a Dodge Ram because the streets in Europe are just not, they're not made for it. That's why you'll start to see even like garbage trucks in England that are thin. They're long and they're thin because it's an old country and the roads were narrow. Charles Payne, another Fox pundit, starts speaking about the data from the Bank of America and how the 1% always wins. How the 1% of America always wins. Play the clip.
Even though those are low-paying jobs, the restaurant jobs and the leisure and hospitality jobs, they have sort of been a proxy for people having disposable money. A couple of days ago, Bank of America came out with their credit card data, and it was scary. I mean, a shocking declines in restaurants, airlines, lodging. Just look at the most recent poll on people who say they're going to go traveling in the next few months. It has plunged. I think the boom times are over. All the free money has been spent. And this is why I have a problem, Steve, with the Federal Reserve and interest rates, because if they look at aggregate data, it looks great. And so but the problem is that if 10% are doing 50% of buying and everyone else is struggling because of higher rates, it's a no-win situation. In other words, we've got to wait until the richest people in America stumble before there's any relief from Main Street. And I think as in addition to blowing up all the ways we examine data, we need to figure out a way for the Fed to re-examine how they do their job, the transmission of their policies, because they keep telling us they wield a mallet. Well, we need to find a way to wield the scalpel, because what they're doing right now is heads the rich people win, tails the rich people win.
Yeah. Sure. They also speak about whether Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, can cause or will cause a recession. Play that clip.
You know, I mean, Joel, Lindsay Group came out with a report a couple of weeks ago that I've mentioned a few times. Can Doge induce a recession? No, it can't, okay? You're not going to get a recession just from Doge. Now, there are other things that have happened in this economy with this slowdown. We could see a recession, but it's not going to happen just because they're cutting waste and abuse out of this government, Joel.
Yeah, no, you're exactly correct. In fact, of the last 5 years, we had about 3.1 million jobs, and about more than half were from government and from social services. And so those need to go. Now,
wait to use, again, the exact terms from the Talking Points memo. And then you got to love this guy. You're absolutely correct. You're an absolute idiot. All right, let me be very clear. Doge, if in fact what Trump wants Doge to do, what Elon Musk is intending to do, to cut several million jobs out of government and so on, where are those jobs going? They're certainly not picking up other opportunities. And we're talking about then 10 million migrants leaving the country, those that are working in, say, restaurants or construction or in fields, jobs that Americans just will not do. You really think that's not going to cause a recession? Wake up. All right. Now, of course, Doge's mass firings of these federal workers, they have people questioning. If If that is what has now affected this most recent job report, play the clip. Because on CNN, Republican Representative Lisa McClain spoke about this very issue. Play it.
And you know what? I don't think the Americans want perfection. I do think they expect progress and transparency. So we actually had those conversations last night, right? Because we want to make sure if we are limiting the size and reducing the size of the bloated bureaucracy, that we are doing that in an effective manner, right? We don't want to touch the doctors.
But it's pretty messy. Are you okay with that?
We don't want to touch the doctors and nurses. We want to make sure that we reduce the size and scope of government. You know what? Democracy is messy, and I wish it was perfect. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, but it is going to take unconventional wisdom. We're $36 trillion in debt. We don't have time to make sure that we get everything absolutely perfect. But what I can say...
let me be very clear. There's absolutely nothing, and I'm going to say the third time, nothing that Doge is going to do, that Trump's policies are going to do, that is going to reduce this deficit. Zero. In fact, he added a whopping $8 trillion to our deficit during his first administration. We are still missing $8 trillion from his COVID relief plan. Nobody knows where it went. They're all saying, hey, where's the $1 trillion? I don't know. They were sending out checks like it didn't mean anything, like our tax dollars don't mean shit. And I will acknowledge, I will not ever dispute the fact that our government is bloated, that there is fraud, waste, and abuse in all levels of government. I'm just saying the way that they're going about it, the way they're pretending that by cutting 80,000 veteran workers, that's going to be the panacea to our $37 trillion deficit. Come on. We all know better. And that's why I keep saying, stay with me. Let's create a big community, a big community, so that come when midterms arise, our voices will actually be heard, and we will make the difference, because we need to, for ourselves, for our children, and for future generations to come. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey everyone, first of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.